Yes, lads, it's Jake from the Football Fancy, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's going to be a different kind of video today. We have not focused on Leyton Orient in a while. Today we're going to look at just what has been causing this little drop in form for the O's, why the fans are angry at the manager and the players, and what Leyton Orient could possibly do to change this run of form and hopefully get back to winning ways and back on that promotion charge. Now, for non-Leyton Orient fans who watch the channel, want to know why this has happened and why Leyton Orient have been struggling recently. I'm going to tell you exactly why. It's been a very, very difficult December to January period over Christmas. All started when we played Stevenage at home, big game, live on Sky Sports. Finished 0-0. It wasn't really a bad performance. We had our chances, we didn't take them. Ever since we played Steve Evans' men, it's all got a bit out of hand. After that, we travelled to Newport. And you have to remember that games in the December period, it's like 3 days there, 3 days here. So you're not going to get much of a rest break. And our players were very tired from that game at Stevenage. We went to Newport 0-0, didn't really show anything. The big game was 3 days later when we took on Northampton, the day after New Year's Day. Lost 1-0, didn't really have anything. No real shots. But the issues we had were the injuries we picked up. Probably one of the best centre-backs in the whole league, Dan Appy. He's out now for the rest of the season, I think. It was a very bad injury. Omar Beckles then got a 3-match suspension, which really killed us because we looked very, very poor at the back without him. And then Shadrach Ogie, who came in for Dan Appy, one of League Two's best young players last season, got nominated for the Young Player of the Year award. He's now injured. I think he's got another month left. So we've had to reshuffle at the back a lot. We brought in Ed Turns on loan from Brighton, Wales under-21 captain. It's his first stint in professional football, so he hasn't really hit the ground running. Jamie McCart as well from Rotherham, good centre-back, but he's going to need 4 or 5 games to get into the groove of things because he hasn't played all season. And that's what's really killed us. We went to Stevenage again away. That was a huge game. It was something that we needed to get back on form. We just didn't. We lost 3-0, 2-0 down within 11 minutes. It was just all going up in flames. The back four we started, Ed Turns and Jamie McCart, they'd never played with each other. Adam Thompson, credit to him, when he's been asked to do a job, he actually plays very well, considering he hasn't started since the opening day before we got those injuries. He was subbed off after 30 minutes because we just weren't cohesive as a team. But defence hasn't really been the big problem that we've had. Okay, we have had a lot of injuries in the back line, but it's been up front where a lot of the Orient fans are complaining. There's a big question as to why we did not sign a striker in the January transfer window. But I have to say, I did want a striker. But the more you look into it, the more you realise I don't really think it's the striker's problem. We've got 1 goal in 7 games. Now that might be because we haven't taken our chance, but if you actually look at the stats, we haven't really created many chances. We've had 2 shots on target in the last 2 games. We're not really creating enough. Now that's not the striker's fault. It's not really the midfielder's fault either. It's as a whole team. We're not creating enough chances. Charlie Kelman plays up front. He works hard. No chances are really created for him. Tranmere last week, we had 1 shot of note in the last minute and Harry Smith hit the bar. Chances aren't being created, and when that happens, it is going to be the striker. When chances aren't created, the fans are just going to go, oh, it's the striker's fault. Kelman's only got 4 goals this season. And people jumping on the back saying, oh, he's not good enough, he can't finish. If you look at his shots conversion rate, he's actually taken quite a lot of the chances he's had. It's just the chances we give to him, we don't normally at this level. You look at someone like Andy Cook for Bradford, he'll get 3-4 chances a game or put away 1 or 2. And that's why he's at the top of the goal scoring ranks in League 2. Leyton Orient, we're in the bottom half of chances created in the league. So to blame the forwards is obviously something that you're going to look at straight away if you haven't watched the game, because you're thinking, well, if you're not scoring goals, then it's surely the forwards' fault because it's their job to score goals. But if you actually dive into it, they're not getting the chances that they need. Now, as an Orient fan who's been to pretty much most home and away games this season, it's key to see that we just need a little bit more creativity, more chances for our strikers to score, as I've mentioned on multiple occasions in this video. Now, something I would suggest is to go to a back 3 and play wing backs to cross it into 2 strikers. Something that we have not done this season, so it might be interesting to switch it up. Now, when you're a team like Leyton Orient were at the start of the season, playing free-flowing football, trying to keep the ball on the ground, a lot of possession, teams do snuff you out. And it was originally Stevenage in the first game that did that. 0-0 was one of the only games we hadn't scored in all season. Because Stevenage just knew, if we put players behind the ball, Orient are going to want to pass it. And that's what we did. And we couldn't break down. A lot of teams now come to Brisbane Road and just set up for a point, albeit on quite a few occasions, we will score. But now we're just struggling to break teams down as teams look at how Stevenage stopped us, how Northampton stopped us, and they're looking at what they can do in a similar fashion to stop us from coming away with 3 points. Now, what this new formation would see us revert to a back three with 4 midfielders, 1 player in a 10 and 2 up front, something that worked in the 2018-19 season. We had this exact same problem under Justin Edinburgh. We had a brilliant start to the season. Teams start to find out the way we play, and we just had a little mid-season slump. I remember we lost 3-0 to Salford, and everyone thought that things were just going to plummet out of hand. In the end, he switched to a back three, and we actually played very well. We ended up going on to win the league pretty comfortably in the end. So I think if we were to do that again, just switch up the way we play, maybe for a few games. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But just to see, can we play a different formation, a different style of football maybe? And maybe that's the key, like it did in the 18-19 season, to helping us over the line. But what I'd do is, you'd have Vigor in goal, he's the first name on the team sheet. You'd have the back three. Now, Beckles would probably play in the centre because he's more of the leader at the back. You could have McCart on the left-footed centre-back, so it works perfectly. Adam Thompson as well, he hasn't disappointed, so he can be the right centre-back. These are 3 experienced defenders who they're not going to give you a lot of rash tackles. They know what they're doing. They're very professional. Now, the wing-backs in this system are going to be very key. Theo Archibald down the left will give you something we don't currently have with Rob Hunt. Rob Hunt's a brilliant defender. He doesn't give you that attacking option. He's right-footed, doesn't really use his left foot, and he doesn't really like to attack. So Theo Archibald, we saw it last year. He was whipping in crosses from the left-hand side. It's somewhere that we can really improve on, with Paul Smith liking to drive in when we do play with wingers, and Hunt not really offering some left-footed outball. And on the right, Tom James, he played his best football last year under Kenny Jackett when he was given a licence to get forward. He was given a licence. You know what? We'll cover for you. Just put some crosses in. We had Harry Smith and Aaron Drennan. Just whip it in. We'll keep putting those balls in. And it worked a lot of the times. Harry Smith ended up getting 15 goals. Drennan got 11. A lot of them were from crosses. Now, Tom James, we know, played his best football as a wing-back, so I think putting him as a right wing-back's no-brainer. Now, although we are currently struggling for options in a wide range of positions, central midfield is actually something we have a lot of players on. We have just lost Jordan Brown, though, for 5 to 6 weeks, but we have a lot of players that can cover in the middle. What I'd do, I'd have Idris El Mazouni on loan from Ipswich. He's probably been one of the standout players this season, with captain Darren Pratley. Now, normally in the 4-3-3 that we play, you'd have El Mazouni just holding, and you've had Pratley trying to push on a bit more. But with El Mazouni and Pratley playing together in a 2-man midfield, you'd have that licence for the wing-backs, James and Archibald, to push forward, because Pratley and El Mazouni can just sit in if one of them goes forward. One can go out wide to sit in. El Mazouni, for example, could stay in the centre, and Pratley could cover for Tom James. 2 very reliable midfielders who don't really get you into trouble, don't play stupid passes, sometimes play it safe, but they're players at this level who are very, very key to winning football matches, as we've seen this season so far. However, even if we didn't have Idris El Mazouni or Darren Pratley, Craig Clay could go in there. He's been one of our most reliable players for a very, very long time now. He can just go in there, do a job. Jordan Leyden as well, don't know much about him, but he's signed from Swindon. Richie Wellens likes him a lot. So we do have a lot of cover in the midfield should anything happen to El Mazouni or Pratley. Now, the number 10 position is one of the most opinion-splitting positions here in this Orient team amongst the fan base. George Moncur has played a lot of his football there this season. He made very big signing. I think it was 300k or something from Luton Town. Championship level player, hasn't really shown it. He shows it in sparks, but he's had a lot of illness, a lot of injury. He hasn't really played 90 minutes very often this season, and he just lacks that end product. He's got a lot of quality. We know it's there, but it might just be time to give him a little rest. And we know he's a quality player. He can go in the 10 and put in a brilliant shift. But you've got the likes of Roulster Thierry, who's come off the bench. He's scored a few goals this season. Reliable player. Kieran Sadlier joined on loan from Bolton this week. He's a winger who likes to drift inside, as we saw against Tranmere. So you could put him in a 10. If Moncur's just played 70 minutes, he can't do it anymore. Just freshen up, keep changing, because that number 10 position would be the most important part of this formation. Spreading the ball wide, trying to get the ball into the 2 strikers, trying to get on the end of crosses as well, because the crosses aren't just going to go into the strikers. It's about the second balls. And in the last 7 games, I think Leyton Orient, we haven't picked up many second balls. Now, something that Richie Wellens has not done this season at all is played with 2 strikers. It's been something that a lot of Leyton Orient fans have been crying out for a number of seasons, not just this season, last year as well, under Kenny Jackett. They've wanted 2 strikers. They feel sometimes the service just isn't good enough into the striker, which is what I've been saying. Charlie Kelman has not particularly had the best service when he's played up there this season. So if you were to play 2 up front, you could have Harry Smith up there and you could have Charlie Kelman up there. Now, the reason I think that these two would work so well together is because it's the classic big man, little man combination. Now, that might be out of fashion in some leagues, but in League Two, a lot of the football is just hoof long. For example, Stevenage away. We did not want to play long at all, but Stevenage were pressing us so much we had to play long ball. And that's why Harry Smith came on after 30 minutes, because we didn't have that focal presence up there, because Kelman doesn't offer you that. If you were to have both of them up there, you can play short into the feet of Kelman, you can play short into the feet of Smith, you can have Kelman running off him, you can go long to Harry Smith. There's a lot of different options. If you've got crosses coming in from both sides, you've got the big man that can knock it down to the small man. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of ways that a front two of Charlie Kelman and Harry Smith could actually benefit Leyton Orient, rather than hold them back. Because I feel that sometimes it's widely thought that playing two strikers could hold Leyton Orient back. And we do have other options as well. Aaron Drillen, of course, I think he's out injured, but he's going to come back very soon. So Tyriu can also play up front. That's his natural position, don't forget. So we do have a lot of options, again, that can play in a forward role. It's just a case of who plays when, managing the players, because Harry Smith, he hasn't had a lot of minutes. Can he play 90 minutes? Probably not. So it's the little things we need to get right. Giving Moncur 5 minutes less, or maybe anticipating that the midfield don't have control of the game. Stuff like that just hasn't been picked up in recent games. If you rectify that, you start winning second balls. With this formation, you've got balance. You've got perfect balance going forward, because you've got the three, including the number 10, you've got the two strikers, and you've got the wing backs bombing forward. And you've also got the stability that El Mazouni and Pratley can give you with the centre defensive mid. Just covering, sitting back and saying, let's just keep it calm for now. Don't need to attack too much. So that's an idea of a formation that we could use in future games should this 4-3-3 continue to not work. Let me know what you think. Let me know if the players are right, if there's any other players that could come in and possibly do a better job than the ones that I've mentioned. But most importantly, ahead of the game against Wimbledon, Crewe away, Walsall away, these are important games. Every game matters. Get behind the boys rather than moaning about how, oh, we're not creating enough chances, strikers got to score. Support the boys, because Wimbledon at home, sold out away ends for the Dons. They're going to come in, they're going to think, you know what, 1 goal in 7 games, yeah, we can probably take a few points off Leyton Orient. We go in the first 5 minutes, start moaning at dodgy back passes or poor clearances, then that's going to spur them on, right? We want to spur our team on, not the other team on. Keep it positive, like we did against Doncaster. First 5 minutes, we kept moaning. Even Richie Wellens was telling us, let's stop moaning, get behind the boys. Eventually, we ended up getting a win. Big game, sold out crowd. So let's support the boys. And hopefully, very soon, all this will be averted. We'll be back on the promotion train and hopefully in the top 3 spaces by the end of the season. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time in the Football Fantasy.